Hare Krishna. So we're reading Life Comes from Life by His Divine Grace, Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. This is Shravanam Diaries podcast, and I'm your host, Sulalita Devidasi, and we are starting the fourth morning walk. Page number 22, recorded on April 29th, 1973, on the shores of the Pacific Ocean near Los Angeles. That's exactly where the cover of these episodes come from. Śrīla Prabhupāda is standing and he's speaking something, very powerfully, and there's Brahmananda Prabhu and Dr. Singh and other devotees. So, Śrīla Prabhupāda is accompanied by Dr. Singh, Brahmananda Prabhu, Brahmananda Swami, Karandhara Dasa, and other students. Brahmananda Swami. Jai. The first section called The Progress of the Asses. Haribol. Śrīla Prabhupāda. Everyone is suffering here in the material world, and scientific improvement means that the scientists are creating a situation of further suffering. That's all. They're not making improvements. Bhaktivinoda Thakur confirms this by saying, Moha janamiya antiya samsara jiva ke karaya gadha. By so-called scientific improvements, the scientist has become an ass. Moreover, he is becoming a better and better ass and nothing more. Suppose that by working very hard like an ass, a person builds a skyscraper. He may engage in a lifelong labor for this, but ultimately he must die. He cannot stay. He will be kicked out of this skyscraper, because material life is impermanent. Scientists are constantly doing research, and if you ask them what they are doing, they say, "Oh, it is for the next generation, for the future." But I say, what about you? What about your skyscraper? If in your next life you are going to be a tree, what will you do with your next generation then? But he's an ass. He doesn't know that he's going to stand before his skyscraper for 10,000 years. And what about the next generation? If there is no petrol, what will the next generation do? And how will the next generation help him if he's going to be a cat, a dog, or a tree? The scientists and everyone else should endeavor to achieve freedom from the repetition of birth and death. But instead, everyone is becoming more and more entangled in the cycle of birth and death. Bhavismin klishyamananam avidya kama karmabhih. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.35. Here in one line, the whole material existence is explained. This is literature. This one line is worth thousands of years of research work. It explains how the living entity is taking birth in this world, where he comes from, where he is going, what his activities should be, and many other essential things. The words bhavismin klishyamananam refer to the struggle for existence. Why does the struggle exist? Because of avidya, ignorance. And what is the nature of that ignorance? Kama karmabhih, being forced to work simply for the senses, or in other words, entanglement in material sense gratification. Student. So is it true that modern scientific research increases the demands of the body because the scientist is ultimately working to gratify his senses? Śrīla Prabhupāda. Yes. Word jugglery and world crisis. Śrīla Prabhupāda. It is said in the Vedas, Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati. Mundaka Upanishad 1.3. Quote, if one knows the absolute truth, then all other things become known. Unquote. I am not a PhD, yet I can challenge the scientists. Why? Because I know Kṛṣṇa, the absolute truth. Yasmin sthito na dukkena guru napi vichalyate. Quote, if one is situated in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, then even in the greatest calamities, he will not be disturbed. Unquote, Bhagavad Gita 6.22. And Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.22 declares, Avichyutorthah kavibhih nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Quote, great personalities have decided that Kṛṣṇa consciousness is the perfection of life. Unquote. This kind of knowledge is required, not that we do some research, come up with a theory, and after 15 years say, no, it is not right, it is another thing. That is not science, that is child's play. Dr. Singh. This is how they discover things, by research. Śrīla Prabhupāda. And what is the cost of the research? It is a scientific method for drawing money from others, that's all. In other words, it's cheating. Scientists juggle words like plutonium, photons, hydrogen, and oxygen. But what good will people get from this? When people hear this jugglery of words, what can they say? One scientist explains something to some extent, and then another rascal comes along and explains it again, but differently, with different words. And all the time, the phenomenon has remained the same. What advancement has been made? They have simply produced volumes of books. Now there is a petrol problem. Scientists have created it. If the petrol supply dwindles away, what will these rascal scientists do? They are powerless to do anything about it. Next section, the $1 billion dust heap. Śrīla Prabhupāda. Now there is a scarcity of water in India. But what are the scientists doing about it? There is more than enough water in the world. So why don't the scientists bring water where it is urgently required? They should employ irrigation immediately. But instead, they are going to the moon, the dusty planet, to make it fertile. Why don't they irrigate this planet? There's plenty of seawater. So why don't they irrigate the Sahara or Arabian or Rajasthani desert? Yes, they say, in the future, we're trying. In their pride, they immediately say, yes, we are trying. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that when one is engaged in the business of satisfying unnecessary desires, he becomes bereft of all intelligence. Kamaistais haritagyana, Bhagavad Gita 7.20. This moon project is childish. Those who aspire to go to the moon are like crying children. A child cries, "Mother, give me the moon." So the mother gives the child a mirror and says, "Here is the moon, my dear son." And the child takes the mirror, sees the moon in it, and says, "Oh, I have the moon." Unfortunately, this is not just a story. Karandhara. After spending all that money to go to the moon and bring back just a few rocks, the people on the space project decided that there was nothing more to do there. Brahmananda Swami. Now they want to go to another planet, but they are short of money. Going to other planets costs millions and billions of dollars. Śrīla Prabhupāda. People work very hard while the rascal government takes taxes and spends money unnecessarily. There should be no sympathy when so much hard-earned money comes from the public and is spent so foolishly. Now the leaders are presenting another bluff. Don't worry, we're going to another planet. Now we shall bring more dust. We shall bring tons of dust. Oh yes, now we shall bring tons of dust. Dr. Singh. They believe there may be life on Mars. Śrīla Prabhupāda. They may believe or not believe. What is the difference? Life exists here, but people are fighting. So suppose there is life on Mars. There is life on Mars, undoubtedly, but what will we gain from this? Dr. Singh. People are curious to know what is going on there. Śrīla Prabhupāda. That means that for their childish curiosity, they must spend vast sums of money. Just see the fun. And when they're asked to help one of the many poverty-stricken countries, they say, no money. Do you see? Oh, this is, with all due respect to the spaceship programs, this is just, has been on my mind for so many times, Like before spending so much money on going to Mars, with all due respect, I know recently there has been few projects, many countries, including, we know many countries that went to Mars recently. So, Śrīla Prabhupāda has a point, that's all I'm saying. He has a point that when on our planet there are so many ways to utilize the money for the benefit of the people, what to speak of eternal benefit of the people. People say no money, but for such Haribol, okay, Prabhupada already said everything. Next section called Sankya Philosophy and Modern Science. Dr. Singh. Śrīla Prabhupāda, may we hear a little bit about Sankya Philosophy? Śrīla Prabhupāda. There are actually two kinds of Sankya Philosophy. The ancient Sankya Philosophy, originally taught by Lord Kapila Deva, and the modern Sankya Philosophy taught more recently by the atheist Kapila. Lord Kapila, his Sankya explains how to become detached from matter and search out Lord Vishnu within the heart. This Sankya is actually a process of devotional service. But the modern Sankya philosophy simply analyzes the world into its various elements. In that respect, it is just like modern scientific research. Sankya means to count. We are also Sankya philosophers to some extent because we count the material elements. This is land, this is water, this is fire, this is air, this is ether. Furthermore, I can count my mind, my intelligence, and my ego. Beyond my ego, however, I cannot count. But Kṛṣṇa says that there is something beyond the ego, and that is the living force. This is what scientists do not know. They think that life is merely a combination of material elements. But Kṛṣṇa denies this in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5. Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayidham dharyate jagat. Quote, besides this inferior nature, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, there is a superior energy of mind which consists of all the living entities who are struggling with material nature and sustaining the universe. Unquote. Dr. Singh. Are both the inferior and the superior energies studied in modern Sankya philosophy? Śrīla Prabhupāda: no. Modern Sankya philosophers do not study the superior energy. They simply analyze the material elements, just as the scientists are doing. The scientists do not know that there is spirit soul, nor do the Sankya philosophers. Dr. Singh: they're analyzing the creative material elements. Śrīla Prabhupāda: the material elements are not creative. Only the soul is creative. Life cannot be created from matter, and matter cannot create itself. You, a living entity, can mix hydrogen and oxygen to create water. But matter itself has no creative potency. If you place a bottle of hydrogen near a bottle of oxygen, will they automatically combine without your help? Dr. Singh: no. They must be mixed. Śrīla Prabhupāda: of course. Oxygen and hydrogen are Krishna's inferior energy. But when you, the superior energy, mix them, then they can become water. Jai. Next section, the remote cause and the immediate cause. Śrīla Prabhupāda: inferior energy has no power unless superior energy is involved. This sea, indicating the Pacific Ocean, is calm and quiet, but when the superior force, air, pushes it, it manifests high waves. The ocean has no power to move without the superior force of the air. Similarly, there is another force superior to air, and another, until ultimately we arrive at Kṛṣṇa. This is real research. Kṛṣṇa controls nature just as an engineer controls a train. The engineer controls the locomotive, which pulls one car, and that car in turn pulls another, which pulls another, and so the whole train is moving. Similarly with the creation, Kṛṣṇa gives the first push, and then by means of successive pushes, the entire cosmic manifestation comes into being and is maintained. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Mayādhyakṣeṇa prakṛtiḥ sūyate sacarācaram. Quote, this material universe, material nature, is working under my direction and is producing all moving and unmoving beings. Unquote. And in the 14th chapter, 14.4, Kṛṣṇa says, Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtayah sambhavantiyah tasam brahma mahadionir aham bija pradahpita. Quote, all species of life are made possible by birth in this material nature, O son of Kunti, and I am the seed-giving father. For example, if we sow a banyan seed, a huge tree eventually comes up, and along with it millions of new seeds. Each of these seeds can in turn produce another tree with millions of new seeds, and so on. This is how Kṛṣṇa, the original seed-giving father, is the primary cause of everything we see. Unfortunately, the scientists observe only the immediate cause. They cannot perceive the remote cause. Kṛṣṇa is described in the Vedas as sacarācaram, Brahma Samhita 5.1. The cause of all causes. If one understands the cause of all causes, then he understands everything. Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati. Mundaka Upanishad 1.3. Quote, if one knows the original cause, the subordinate causes are automatically known. Unquote. Although the scientists are searching after the original cause, when the Vedas, perfect knowledge, declare the original cause to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the scientists won't accept it. They keep to their partial, imperfect knowledge. This is their disease. Jai. And the last section, the cosmic machine. Śrīla Prabhupāda. Scientists do not know that there are two types of energy, inferior and superior. Although they are actually working with these two energies every day, material energy can never work independently. It must first come in contact with spiritual energy. So how can people accept that the entire cosmic manifestation, which is nothing but matter, has come about automatically? A competent machine does not work unless a man who knows how to work it pushes a button. A Cadillac is a nice machine, nice car, but if it has no driver, what is the use of it? So the material universe is also a machine. People are amazed at seeing a big machine with many parts, but an intelligent person knows that however wonderful a machine may be, it does not work unless an operator comes and pushes the proper button. Therefore, who is more important, the operator or the machine? So we are concerned not only with the material machine, this cosmic manifestation, but with its operator, Kṛṣṇa. Now, you may say, well, how do I know that he is the operator? Kṛṣṇa says, mayādhyakṣeṇa prakṛtiḥ sūyate sacarācaram. Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Quote, under my direction, the whole cosmic manifestation is working. Unquote. If you say, no, Kṛṣṇa is not the operator behind the cosmos, then you have to accept another operator and you must present him. But this you cannot do. Therefore, in the absence of your proof, you should accept mine. Oh, I'm just... Excuse me. Okay, this is the end of the fourth morning walk. Isn't it? It's just so... I just love this. In the absence of your proof, you should accept mine. Isn't it? Krishna Chaitanya. Like, I don't know if I would be on the opposition side. I wouldn't know what to say. Prabhupada is quoting Bhagavad Gita. He says, Kṛṣṇa is saying, under my direction. Kṛṣṇa is the operator. If you think otherwise, present your proof. And in the absence of your proof, you should accept mine. Oh, Krishna Chaitanya Jai. Wow, actually today I was listening to a podcast by Namarasa Prabhu, latest podcast about, there was Mataji Kishori Jani, and they had a very interesting discussion actually. I really loved it. It's like, actually, I haven't heard something so satisfying in a long time. I recommend everybody who's out there. It's on YouTube, and late morning program with Namarasa Prabhu. It's basically everywhere. It's a podcast also. Yeah, so they had a very interesting discussion. This Mataji, she's actually, she's a doctor, and she's like a chemist. not a chemist, she was studying microbiology or biology, I'm sorry, and she was like explaining some of the things about ladies in terms of hormones, and she used this term, like she said something like, and then Kṛṣṇa, he how did you say? And then Kṛṣṇa like activates serotonin. And this sentence, Kṛṣṇa activates serotonin, it just made me so, I don't know, pleased with how, how devotees actually, like, there's always two camps. Some people say that, like, we believe in God and God is everything, but then science, right? Science, it's just hormones, this, that. But when a devotee, he studies science and he sees all these different laws of nature, and he sees that actually he knows, right? That Kṛṣṇa is behind all of these laws, and he connects it together, and then you can actually see the actual picture of everything, and it's so true. It just really, really, because of course all these, there are laws of nature, and scientists do study them, but they miss the whole point when they are wasting the resources on unnecessary researches, or are not directing it towards the actual goal of life. So then, all of this intelligence is misdirected. So, and when you see that, devotees, practicing devotees, she's a very, very nice devotee she was born in devotee family, and basically her whole journey is it has a beautiful culmination, and now she's married with 4 kids. It's like one of those devotees who inspire. And how she said, and then Kṛṣṇa activates that serotonin, and I'm like, I don't know, today I'm in a very inspired mood, because it actually connected, or even more enthused me in reading this particular book right now, Life Comes From Life, right? We're talking about scientists, and okay, too much talking. So thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description, and tomorrow we shall continue with the 5th morning walk. Hare Krishna.